Assalamu alaikum, I'm Affan. I'm an architect from Islamabad, and I run my own consultancy by the name of ORAD, which I'll be introducing later on. So if we can start. So I'll be talking about this word radical. Radical is basically a Latin word. It has its roots there. And as an architect, my consultancy name is Office for Radical Architecture Disciplines. And we strategically placed this word because it has much more meaning and much more depth and much more dimensions when we talk about architecture or arts in general. So basically, we are doing multiple projects nationally and internationally, architecture and interior-wise. So for the one of the very meaning of radical is relating to the root of something, which we usually experience in architecture, because architecture goes into the depth of meaning of a certain narrative or a concept or a notion or something. So one of the very earliest projects we did was an office design in E11, Rabta Consultancy. So what we did was we tried to move to the core of what office design space is. And the whole space in office was designed around an open plan with quiet spaces on the corner of it. This is the entrance wall. What we did is we created a certain contrast. We put a natural stone in a grid, in a metallic grid with black and beige in contrast to either and branding on the top of it. This office basically was of a corporate nature and NGO office. So in amidst of this is basically an open plan with a bookshelf lattice running behind it. If you see, the table is of natural wood, and then there is a white corrugated metal sheet on top of it to reflect light on the working surface. So it was basically a very utilitarian kind of a concept to how to maximize the effect of working inside the office. So we introduced the yellow color inside it, again a white sheet on the top to enhance the lighting effect. Then again, another meaning of radical is relating to or affecting the fundamental nature of something. So whenever we take up any project, we go into a certain analysis of site analysis or a design analysis that on what principles we want to base on our designs. And we do a lot of renovations, interior, architecture. So this is one of a very small house, a 5-marla house in G8, which we did mid-80s kind of construction, and the very basic white sort of a house, and we reinvent it and make it in a gray and put a yellow window. And now this house is also known as that gray house with a yellow window on it and the strip window. So the two projects which I'm going to show you are, we started at the same time, we completed at the same time, but both of these projects are diametrically opposite. One is coffee shop, one is Pan-Asian cuisine sort of a lunch house space. So on the left house is the Pan-Asian shop. This is in F6 in front of Chai Khana, which we did by the name of Hob. And the other is a coffee shop, Cafe M. This is in F10. So for both projects, what we wanted to do was to take this concept of a wall and morph it. So in one project, we made a mural, and in this one, what we did is we, as a company, we are very like the folding art. There is a mirror on wall, then there is a matte surface, and then there are louvered lines running on it, and a very basic terrazzo floor. This is the Pan-Asian restaurant I was talking about. So for this restaurant, although the picture I don't think is that much clear, we started off with the grids, just imposing grids on the top of each other, and then we extracted some shapes out of it, and then we placed them on the travertine wall. In this wall also, what we did was the geometrical lines enclosed by reflective copper lines, and then there were tables in front of it with a banquet sitting running behind it and the grid on top of it. Another meaning which is very interesting is characterized by the departure from tradition, innovative or progressive. The whole idea of architecture is one of the 3D sort of the art form which is based on the 3D objects like fashion or like sculpture. So whenever we are doing an architecture or interior design, or like in this picture you can see we did a stage design recently for a TEDx event, we wanted to do something which is not just a fenestration in the enclosure. We wanted to make certain type of forms in it with a cuboid grid, and then there is a Cartesian grid in it. And this is one of the early residences which we did. In this, which we did was we create a certain typography in black and white and in red, and we created voids and solid in the form and played in a very brutalist manner in the architecture of the form. So this house, this is, you can see in this, which we did was, if you see, boundary walls are very solid, and we then put wire gauze on it, and then we made them extra solid and make them extra tall. In this particular project, what we did was we make it porous, so that architecture can be more visually accessible. And then we carved out a balcony. In Islamabad, we have very narrow balconies. But in this project, what we did was we carved a space out for a balcony so that 2 or 3 people can sit into it. The last point, believing or expressing the belief that there should be change in future, so that we all can be an agent of change, whether it's in the field of art or architecture, and in general, we can see. So yeah. As a company, what we believe is that what we want to do is to question ourselves constantly, and that's what we do. So thank you.